afternoon, everyone. Christina Gutierrez here with Simple CFO, and we are back with the case files. So every week we're breaking open case files with our CFOs. We're asking them questions. We're digging deep in with how we're really able to help all of our clients. And today we have David Richter back on the phone, and my favorite person to meet with. And we are flipping the script a little bit. So I'm going to have David jump in and flip the script as he wants to.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. Honestly, I'm excited that you said I'm your favorite person on these things. So like I win there. So I feel like we can just shut it down right now, and I feel great. So just kidding for all of you out there. I don't know if you know this, but Christina and I are actually the business owners together, and that I've heard so many things, horror stories. Like we've been in business now almost 7 years with Simple CFO. And Christine and I this year became business partners. And I tell basically everyone, and I say this year, but it's been over a year now, right?
Yeah.
That we've been business
Last year.
partners. I honestly, all the years shuffled together. Once you're a business owner, it's like, what is going on? And I tell people all the time that it was the best decision I've ever made. And I still feel that way. What is this? Almost 18 months into it. And I had a meeting this morning with 2 business owners. And I told them again, this was the best decision I've ever made. I was with another group yesterday and sat there in a group full of people. And I'm like, I would die if I did not have Christina. And this was the best decision of my life, my business life, for sure. So this is what Christina means to me. And I wanted to flip the script today and take over because I'm the chief chaos creator here at Simple CFO. So like I'm commandeering this episode. She's shaking her head vigorously. If you can't see it, if you're just listening to this episode. But I wanted to dig into Christina and her background just a little bit. I also wanted to have her talk about the partnership dynamic, but then also she's got some really great reviews recently from some of her clients, and she has been a CFO and still is a CFO. And that's where I want to get her perspective as well, too, of like working with clients and working with business owners. If you're sitting there as a business owner, and we beat this drum all the time, making money but feeling broke, if you're like that, you don't have to stay that way. And there's like steps to get out of that. So that's why I want to interview Christine. So Christina, thank you for joining me today on your podcast.
The pressure's on.
The pressure's on. And she is like okay. If you've ever read the book Traction with EOS, Visionary and Integrator, like Christina is, I believe, one of the ultimate integrators out there. And she puts a lot of pressure on herself because she's that operations person. She's got that logical brain. She's always clicking in gear, but she also comes up with a ton of great ideas too. She's definitely special in a good way, not in the slow way. So we're going to make sure that I want to focus on your journey, though, to how you have adapted over the years and become more of a business owner, the mindset and what that took. So you didn't stumble into fractional CFO by accident. Like, how did you become a fractional CFO? What did it look like before Simple CFO and getting into the finance world?
Oh, wow. All right. So I was born October. No, I'm just kidding.
Like,
No, I mean, it goes way back. So I could talk all day on this because I am a true typical accounting nerd, right? So when I was in 7th grade, I took an accounting class and I was hooked. And I was always a math nerd too. Like I stayed after class to do all the math stuff. I mean, I was in the math club, if that says anything. So I just loved it. When I did accounting, I thought, oh, that's really cool. I like that too. I like the debit. I like the credit. I can figure this out. So one of the things I think that helped me most in my life, and some people might call it instability, because I did move a lot and I had a lot going on. So what I did when I became old enough to work and could be in the office is I never took a full-time job. And I don't even know if you know this, David, but I worked at all the different jobs in a temp agency. And this was just so I would understand how to work with people, how to organize, how to file, how to, what programs did they use? What softwares did they use? And that's all I did for 2 to 3 years. I worked only temp jobs. And when people wanted to make the full-time hire, I wouldn't do it. So a lot of people call that instability. I like change. That's no secret to anyone. I am always 1 foot out the door. I feel like I can always do something better. So I thought I can suck it all in. I can learn. And while I was getting my master's degree, I actually worked 4 jobs. So this is my crazy life.
Yeah.
And I've done everything from just bookkeeping, basic, did the auditing, worked for the federal government, did all these different things. And Funny thing is when I moved to Charleston, I worked in property management still, worked there in Florida. So I kind of gained real estate. And my husband also started getting an interest in working in real estate too. So we started learning some things together. I mean, back in like 13, probably 2013. It's been quite a while. And I took a job here and I worked with a bunch of investors. He purchased commercial properties and I helped him set those up, do the box buy, did the presentation, talk to investors, paid them, put the portfolio together. And I was pretty much, when I got that job, I got an office and he said, hey, meet me here this day. He put me in an office with a computer and said, everything's in Dropbox. There's a bunch of files over there. Figure it out. No training, no nothing.
Wow.
I was the only person there. And he said, figure it out. So I would ask him a lot of questions as the owner. And he's like, look in Dropbox, figure it out. So for those of you that don't know Dropbox, it's just and we all know on the cloud with just a bunch of files, just like a Google Drive. And I had no idea where to even start, but I've always been a go-getter. So I was like, all right, cool. I got this. Husband didn't appreciate that because that was 15-hour days, but that was a great experience. It's one of those where you struggle through it because you're like, I don't even know what to do. And I know when to ask questions to. So that was a great experience of real estate. And he was a real estate mogul, however you say that word, but he was a really smart guy. So it just kind of morphed me into that and then learned how to like run his company.
Yeah.
And everything. I hired all of his property managers, all the accountants, everything that came after that. I pretty much controlled and hired, which gave me a ton of experience. So that helped. And then when I left that job and decided to do my own thing, I learned from other individuals and mentors how to actually start a CFO firm, how to actually be a CFO, questions to ask, what to look at. So, and then I, obviously have degrees, have studied for tests, I've done all of that. So I have the book side and then I have the experience side. And that's how I morphed into just being able to provide value and be a good CFO.
That's awesome. So it sounds like a lot of grit, determination, perseverance. You threw yourself into some deep ends where other people probably wouldn't do that. Like when you said the temp agency, I just want to get a bunch of knowledge and working different things and doing different things, which is incredible. And which I think really goes into the skills that you've built in order to be a great like integrator, operator, to understand how a business really runs, not just the visionary, like, let's just go have some great ideas. It's like, how do we put pen to paper and what do we really do to get there? But that also makes you a great CFO too, to see, sounds like you had a lot of the skills that you've built over time and through education, self-education as well too, continuing that education well past when you got a degree. You got the real world education, which is amazing. You're in the real estate space as well too, your husband and yourself. And that's why I want to go to, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'd like to go now from, okay, Christina has learned how to be a fractional CFO and she's been taught, and she's gotten mentors and guidance. Let's go now to the other side, like almost back, we'll back into it, but I want to go to the end. Now you've gotten some great reviews over the last couple weeks from a couple of the clients that you still work with, even because, okay, this is another thing about Christina. Christina would want to work with like all the clients all the time. Like if she could, like she just cares about people. She cares to get them where they really want to be. This is why we gel together very well, because we both really care and want to do well by people. But she still has a couple clients and a couple of them gave her reviews. And I just wanted you to talk about whether you want to start with Joe or if you want to start with John and his team with Alex, just some of the things that they've said and like diving into how did they get to that point to where they're willing to write you these reviews. I don't want to just read them word for word here, even though I really want to, but like you could go to Simple CFO and read our reviews. You can look up Joe Terrio and you could look up John Coyle. Those are the two people that we're talking about specifically here. So Christine, talk about, okay, now you've got this experience. You've poured yourself into Simple CFO. You've poured yourself into these clients. How did it get to this point to where they're like, oh my gosh, this has been life-changing?
Let's start with Alex and John. So Alex came on first and had a different experience because he was working with a different CFO. And then I came in and kind of took over. This is 4 years ago, guys. So we've grown and changed a lot in 4 years. But that was even before I was COO and partner with you. So Yeah, that was a long time ago. So he did strictly wholesales and maybe some flips here and there. And my husband and I started with flipping houses. So we knew a lot about flipping houses. And I will say, with my accounting brain, we never went over budget on a house. Like, we were really good with that. So I will add that. But he did wholesale, flipped a couple houses, and he kind of just wanted to know his numbers, didn't really understand what his numbers were telling him, when to grow, when to make moves, and then also wanted profit first set up in his business. I think that's a big thing. Everyone comes to Simple CFO because profit first is so proven. And if you do it the right way, you can make a good amount of money, and then you know where your money's going, how to spend it, and it just gives you like this relief and this comfort. And I think that's what he needed more than anything. And he already had profit first up and running. So now he just like his check-ins, our financial work together, just giving him numbers of like digging deep. So you can look at revenue, you can look at cost, you can look at expenses, but letting him know like, how many deals did you make? What did you actually pay per deal? What did you get per deal? What was your cost on this deal? How can we lower what we're paying commissions? We even talk about his personnel of like, okay, so let's go through your personnel. If he says, I don't think they turned as many leads as they should have, then I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. So then we look at personnel, we look at his sales guys, and we say, okay, have you listened to the calls? How long did it take for them to make an offer? And then you even look at like minutes and what type of deals are they getting? Are they good deals? Are they able to turn deals? Do you have a salesperson that's better for specific deals? Because believe it or not, some people want to talk to a woman rather than a man, and they're more comfortable talking to them. So then you're more likely to commit I could go all day, but checking in on those numbers and really digging into things that like normal business owners don't look at, especially if you're making a good amount of money. He was making a good amount of money. So when you're making already $1 million, $2 million, a lot of people are just saying, well, it looks good, right? Until it's not.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I'm making $2 million a year, 3 million, whatever. I think he was like at 5 million at that point, but didn't really know. Like, okay, so what if I do want to grow? What if I do want to hire another person? What if I want to expand to another area, which he did end up doing? What does that look like? What if I want to start a new business or do another venture? So these type of questions are questions that owners don't really think about. They just see the money coming in, and then it like slowly starts to dwindle. Like you're netting 100,000 one month, and then the next month you're netting 80. Still looks good, right? So you're like, okay, that sounds good. 3 months later, you're netting 50. I can still pay my bills. I can still pay myself. Looks good. 3 months later, you notice you're breaking even. So those trends that they just don't realize and don't look deep enough to know, okay, this is really hurting the business. They don't know like what to uncover and pull back, because they need to know exactly what's going on in their business. So that's what a CFO does. Like, I do that. I dig into exactly what's causing the issue and then give them those steps to actually turn that around, because you can focus on 5 different things. And as an owner, we've talked about this. Yeah. There may be 5 things that are wrong in your business, but not all 5 of those are equally important. So you can't, as one person or with a good team, attack all 5 of those. So then figuring out which one has the biggest impact on the business. I'm going to attack the thing that has the biggest impact, is going to turn my business around for what I'm looking for in my goals. So my specific goals for the next year or 2, I'm going to want to attack that problem that's going to get me closer to my goals. So that's what he likes. He likes the check-ins. He likes me really digging into numbers, budget to actual. We put the budget, a lot of people budget just to say they budget, but they don't actually compare what they did to their budget. And then, or they just say, okay, I went over budget, I went under budget. But what does that mean? Why are you not fixing it? If you're going to measure it, why are you not making the steps to fix it? Yeah. So I think he wants that feedback, and he loves the fact that we meet all of the time and look at those numbers and peel back those numbers. And he actually just started a new business too. So I've helped him build that business and get it up and running and trying to make moves to when to hire someone. What is a hiring expense? What does it look like? So he wouldn't have those numbers just by running a bunch of stuff or
looking at looking at the financials, looking at what just happened over the last month, or what a typical person does, where as the CFO, you're really driving offense and defense. Like, what's the real issue here? Because you're asking the right questions. And a lot of people just don't have this person in their life, and they're always wondering, why can't I really scratch that itch? Like, I feel like I'm doing lots of deals. I feel like lots of money is coming in. But like you said, it's like we're making money this month. We made money a couple months ago. We made money, but it keeps going down. And then why are we breaking even? Like, what's going on? Why is there less cash, even though I'm doing more deals right now? So you're really attacking the real issues and helping them and just say, okay, here's what it is. Here's what we need to focus on. Here's how to get us back on track, and like helping and giving them that guidance, which is incredible. And I do have a question that arose from hearing that story. What do you think is a very common money lie that most business owners or real estate investors especially tell themselves that just keeps them in that broke cycle?
That the next deal will give them more cash and they can end up turning it around. They think the more deals they get in the door, they'll eventually get cash and they'll turn it around. But if it's not managed right, they're not looking at the right numbers and not being proactive about what needs to change, they're just going to continue that cycle.
Yeah. I wish I had Christina, 12 years ago in that other business. We were doing 25 deals a month, but spending 26 worth of deals out the door. It's like, why are we doing this? Well, we have that syndrome. So I definitely resonate with that. We just thought more deals was going to get us out of all these situations, more revenue, and let's add another zero. Like, that's what we thought would fix it. And it never did. It never did in that business. And that's where a lot of people get stuck there. And I think a lot of people end up telling themselves that. And then they're wondering, why don't we have money? Where did it all go? Do you want to talk?
I feel like a win to them.
Yep.
Like it's a win. So like if they can get a deal on it, I'm like, oh, look what I can do. They don't know if they negotiate it correctly. Right. They don't know if it's going to sell in time. They don't calculate holding costs. It's a lot more goes into it than, yay, look, I can close a deal. Good for me.
Right. Or the syndrome of like, they close that deal and it's, was this a deal that you just felt like you needed to close just to close a deal versus was this, like you said, something that you really analyzed, which we're such deal junkies, us visionary entrepreneur people. We want to go out there. We want to make things happen, and we do make things happen. Just sometimes they're bad things. So it's like, we got to make sure we have someone pointing us more towards the good stuff. And I like what you said too, that he likes to meet on that regular basis because that it provides that accountability, helps them be responsible with the business, but get a different perspective other than let's go do a million deals. It's like, okay, we could do a million deals, but this is what it'll mean. Like, do you have the business, the infrastructure? Do you have the net profit that you really want from this and all that? The right question. So now that was awesome. Thank you for taking us through, John and Alex. What about the other review? Like Joe and his team. Joe is very vocal but when it comes to us, which I love as a business owner. So do you want to tell Joe's story, like from your perspective? Because we hear Joe's and Joe goes on other podcasts and Joe writes reviews, but we need to hear Christina's side of things. And like, as the CFO, like, what's your perspective? And I'd love to hear like that relationship that you've built over these years with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Joe is one of my favorite people. I will say that he is a great person to work with, and all the flaws, right? We all have flaws, and he's just funny. He's fun to work with. But he originally came to Simple CFO because he had a partner that he wanted to buy out. I don't know if you remember that, but
I remember a little bit.
Said that today to his wife. So he wanted to buy out his partner and he didn't know where to begin, what to do. So I helped him with the buyout of his partner, how to pay him back, what it looked like in the books, setting up a profit first account to pay him back. And actually I will add this too. He just paid the last payment to him, which is like an amazing thing to watch.
Oh, wow. I bet.
So 4.5 years or so that we've been working together. So him being able to do that's a huge win.
That's a huge hurdle and milestone. That's great stuff.
And he's come a long way. And I know he enjoys the accountability that I give him. So we meet every week constantly. And now I meet with his team. I meet with his marketing team, his rehab team. He's moved directions a couple times. He's got big dreams. He's got things he wants to do. He doesn't want to be the go-to in the business, but then he doesn't know what it feels like to not be the go-to. So I feel like that's a big thing with owners. You want to make more money, and then when you make money, you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know how to feel about making the money, or you you don't want to be so involved to where everybody comes to you, right? Because that can be a bottleneck. But then you also don't want to feel like you're not important enough for people to come to you, like you're losing grip on your business. So it's a weird, like, mental dynamic that plays into it too. So I know Joe will say a lot of this, like, he's done a lot of things because he's got dreams and he wants to do a lot. And I think one of the biggest things that we do a lot is he talks out things with me, and then I process it, and I'm always thinking about what's best for him. So then I'll come back, and he always says I rain on his parade, which is funny. And I don't mind doing it because I always
someone's gotta.
yeah. I just think through it. We appreciate someone on the outside thinking through what's in our head, right? So if we can put it out there, then I always tell them, like, okay, does that get us closer to your goal? Because I don't feel like this is the right time, and we'll talk about timing, and I don't want to rain on his parade ever. But the challenging is what's important about a CFO. Like, I love when he does great things. I always tell him when he does great things, but I have to challenge his thoughts sometimes of, is that something, and this is any client really, is that going to get us closer to our goal? Or let's think about it. Have we changed our goal? Is there something else that you want to be working on? So there's that accountability piece of just having someone to talk to about where your business is going, but dialing in with the numbers too. Because if it's going to take $1 million to start a new business, but that's going to get you close to your goal, and it's going to create another outlet for you, maybe it is the right thing to do, but you don't just drop everything and do it. And that's some business owners do that, right? I got a loan, I got an SBA, I got approved. I can buy this business for $3 million and have no idea once they get it what to do. It just looks pretty on the inside. So building it out and saying, okay, that's great. I love that that's what we're doing. Let's build it out. And I'm a huge planner. I know you know that. Like, I probably drive my husband crazy. We're on the road and I'm looking up exits. I'm looking at food. I'm saying exit 28, we can eat this, and this is what we can do at this time. And we're going to get gas, use the bathroom because we got to do it all at one time. And then we'll still be there by 6:18. I mean, it is.
Yeah, that's great.
It's every aspect of my life, but he enjoys that I'm able to do that, hold him accountable with financials, hold marketing accountable for their costs and their budget, how to move money. So if your budget is $130,000, where can I move 10,000 of it if it's not working, so I can still maintain budget, but then I can turn faster leads. So like, I really hold them accountable on moves that they're making in their business, and it's every single week. So we have a conversation all the time. So he can text me when he needs things. Like, we have that relationship that goes, very, very deep into like accountability and what he actually needs at that moment.
A lot of visionaries who are emotional leaders need logical leaders to make sure that it makes sense, that the dollars make sense, like that you're spending, that's going out the door. And it sounds like he's leaned heavily into that, where sometimes people come on board and they're not ready for that. Like, they're not ready for the logical leadership, even though they think they are. They're like, okay, I need help. They know they need help, but maybe you're not ready because you're not ready to listen to, like, hey, I know you've done these things this way, but like, this is why you keep getting this result and why you're beating your head against the wall, of why you feel broke. And so that's where if you're feeling that way of like, okay, this is crazy, all the things that she's saying is like, yes, that is me to a T, and I'm just going out there and I'm running and gunning it. We want to help you. So whether it's through this podcast and you're listening to some of the other people, and people like Joe or Alex and John, like that, are going through this stuff and have gone through it and are still like growing, like with people like Christina, we just want to like let you know that you're not alone, and that there's lots of people that feel this way. And you'll know you're ready when you want to not only say, yes, I need help, and raise your hand, because that's a big step too, just raising your hand and saying, I need the help. But when you're also mentally ready to say, I don't want to do the same things that got me here either. Like, how do I get out of this? That's when we've had some clients recently, Christina, that have come on board where they're just like, I remember one guy signed the thing. He's like, I am ready to be committed to this process. And it's like, we want to get people in the door here, that where you really do want to make that change. Change is hard. That's why, especially in the finances, you usually don't have someone like Christina on your team. It's usually a book bookkeeper or a CPA, and they're literally just talking to you dollars and cents and numbers and decimals, where you need someone like Christina in your corner to say, what are you thinking and feeling? And is it really going to get you to where you want to go? And this is how the dollars and cents need to move in order to get you where you want to go. So I'm just going to throw this out there. I can't believe that StreamYard has this now. This is pretty cool. If you want to stop feeling broke and you're on YouTube right now, you can see I put a little QR code there. You can scan that now. So if you're not on where you can see me, you can still go to simplecfo.com. That's our main website. You can click the book a call, schedule a call there if you want to talk to one of us, just to see if it's the right timing. But since Christina's going over this, I want to give you the opportunity for oh my gosh, I need this in my life. I'm tired of my hair being on fire when it comes to my finances, tired of feeling this way. That's what we want to help you. Christina, this has been great about the clients that you're working with and all of that, but I started with the partnership as well too. So I want to just talk about that just briefly and ask you, you were a part of Simple CFO for a few years, and then you told your background of becoming into the financial world, and then helping that first one, and then helping your husband, and then you came on board with us, which is its own story. But how did you know it was either the right timing or that you wanted to become partners together? Because that's a big commitment, and I'd like to hear your thought process on that, not just for myself, but obviously for the people listening too.
Oh man, I actually didn't want to at first.
That's awesome. I love this answer already.
And it wasn't you because, when you said, hey, come and help me, and every time you needed something, I was always the first person to be like, oh, I did this.
Jumped in.
I already on this. And no matter what the position was, just because it interested me and I wanted to do it and I was so excited and I respected you. I wanted to work with you more. That was really important to me. In all honesty, you're a great person, and I wouldn't be where I am without you. You've helped me. You've given me books, even doing the outlines where I'm like, I don't have time to read that book, and then you're like, oh, I actually did an outline on it. I'm like, well, that's amazing. So
That's great.
I know that you're heavily invested in getting better as well. So we share that same way of being, just that passion for helping people and growing and getting better. So I knew that I wanted to stay working with you, but it got a lot for me at one point. And when I sat thinking about it, and mind you, everyone listening, I had a ton of clients on the side too. So this was me taking on too much because I don't know how to say no. My husband used to tell me to go in front of the mirror and just go, no, and not practice saying no, because I had such a problem. And everyone I worked with was all referrals. I never did any marketing. It was just people coming to me and saying, hey, I heard you were great. I heard this, I heard that. And so I would just, yeah, sure, I got it. Yeah, sure, I'll work with you. And just because I loved it so much. So I overextended myself, and I got to the point where it was really bad. And I have the 2 kids, so they had a lot going on. They were younger. They're still young, but they were a lot younger then. And I started getting burned out on my own. And you knew that, you guys knew I did too much. You warned me and told me constantly, but I didn't want to. So my idea was just to take a step back and not do anything and just take a break. And then I kind of could feel not the worrying on your side, but talking to you, you were very supportive of whatever you need. But then it was almost like, well, I remember you saying, what do I need to do to get you to stay? And so I started thinking through it, and I thought, I really want to be close to you, and I really want to either build my own business and set my own boundaries, or build a business with David, and then he'll help me set boundaries. I don't know how to do that, honestly. I mean, I'm better about it now, but I had no idea how to set boundaries before. I just felt like I needed to do it all because that's what filled me up, really. And so I started thinking about, what does it look like to be a partner? If I'm going to put this much time in, then we can partner together, and then I won't feel like I need to do other things. Because there's always that thing of if this doesn't work out, what else do I have? So my mindset is always, I need to keep, hence the 4 jobs. Well, right. But that's just because it's kind of always been my mindset. So then we kind of explored the conversation. And one of my things is how do I partner with him from a business that he started? He wrote the book, he did this. And it made me feel like I was I don't know, asking for something that I didn't deserve.
Mm.
And I think that's what bothered me most. So talking through a lot of it with you helped, and us being open to it, us being good partners, us getting along so well helped. And then once we started talking about it more, I was like, okay, this is going to be amazing. And so I got more and more used to it. And I thought, I got to get rid of all the clients. I got to figure out what I can do. This is 100% my focus. This is what I'm doing. And so I think we talked about it heavily, and we
Yeah, we
really
did.
thought, and because at first, when you started asking me all those questions, I was like, he doesn't want to do this. He's asking me a ton of questions. And then when I went through it, I was like, these are good questions.
Oh, I honestly, on my end of things, I know you said, well, he's done the book and all that, and I'm thinking like, there's no way I'd be where I am without Christina. Like I am not the greatest executor. I can execute things, but to the scale that you'd helped and like to put the systems in, and I tell people this all the time. So if this is the first time, if you're a listener hearing this, like you need to know this. Like my background is not in finances, even though I own Simple CFO. Like my background is being an entrepreneur, a real estate investor. Like I love the business end of business. Like I love being CEO and like the systems and the big picture and like really understanding what it takes to run a business. And Christina is the day-to-day, like, how do we make this happen? And so for that, I think that was one of the biggest things. I'm like, yeah, you deserve everything here because it's like you've helped us grow to where we are. So that to me was, and then one of the things I'm glad we did was we got a lot of counsel before we went into the partnership. Like we reached out to attorneys, we reached out to other people. I had deep talks with my mentors and people in my life. Like, what do I need to be asking? One of the guy gave us like this 21-page document. Like, I don't know, it had like 7 major areas that we had to go over. So it was really good. And I appreciate your side of the story. And what would you say going through that process and with where we are now, if someone's considering a partnership, like what's a non-negotiable that they should do, or like something that they have to do before they enter that partnership?
Oh my gosh. Well, besides put it in writing and having an agreement on how
Yeah,
everything
okay,
works
yes.
out.
How many people do we talk to and they don't even have that? Okay, that was like a layup, and then like oh my gosh, yes. If you don't have an agreement, you need an agreement in place.
But
But
even
starting,
so, if something happens,
yeah,
if
exactly.
something happens to one of you, if a partner doesn't want to be in it anymore, what do you do? Like you have to think outside of just, we like each other, we're going to be partners,
Right.
and we need to
We
be
work well
partners, because
together. Yeah.
there becomes a buyout, there becomes money that you've helped earn, what you're putting, like what role do each of you serve in the
Yeah.
business? You can't cross each other's path all the time, and you can't fall over each other's feet all the time. So you have to have a defined role that you're working on in the business, so you're not constantly going, but you're going to help each other all the time. So we always make decisions together, important decisions, but then there's a role. Like you sit a lot in the sales and understand marketing, and then I sit a lot in operations and serving the clients. That doesn't mean that I can't ask you about a client when I have a question, or you can't ask me a marketing idea, or I can't jump on a sales call.
Right.
But we understand and we reach out to each other. We ask each other. We don't trip over each other's feet just trying to, because some people do that. You have 3 partners and they just try to get stuff done. And one's over here, one's over here, and they're just, who
Right.
knows what they're doing. And I will say, for me now, which I would have never said this before, a non-negotiable would be to have an EOS system.
Oh, that's so good. I
Because
was even thinking about that. Yeah.
we never imagine never talking about the issues. Imagine never breaking
Right.
down the departments and, having the head and having issues come to you. We would be talking every day. Hey, by the way, did you
Yeah.
hear this? I mean, we talk every day, but I'm talking like that's where people get the fires
Right.
constantly. You
Yeah.
constantly have a fire and you're constantly trying to put them out, but then you're creating fires everywhere else while you're trying to put the other ones out,
Right.
because you're not really being open with each other. You're not being honest. You're not sharing issues that are appropriate. You're not sharing them within a leadership team and coming up with a resolution. We can talk for an hour, but if we end the conversation with no resolution,
Right. Then why did
we
we just sit
wasted
there
an
for
hour
an
of our
hour?
day.
Right.
And I don't like to waste time. So
Yeah. 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 Just
that
hit
is
me
a
on.
non-negotiable. It, I know it,
Yeah. That's
it
great.
means a lot to be able to like come to you and say things. I would
Yeah.
say when I first started here, I wasn't as open and honest. Like it was harder for me to share things like when I was frustrated
Yeah.
because I don't want to ever upset people and I don't want to I don't know how to like say things sometimes, but I've learned how to come across and say things and learned how to speak, learn how to open up and or even ask the questions first of this is what I was thinking. What do you think could happen with this? To where you know how to word it right. So you're not always because I you know those people that are like always on the defense. You feel like
Yeah.
every time you say something like, well, I didn't do that. And you're like, I didn't. I was
Whoa,
just
that was not a personal attack. Oh, what's going on here?
no,
Yeah.
definitely not.
That's where I 100% agree with what you just said. Everything. Have it in writing. Talk about the hard stuff before you enter the agreements. And then to like double down on that, exactly what you said. Having some type of system. EOS is the acronym for the Entrepreneurial Operating System from the book Traction by Gino Wickman. So if you have no idea what we're talking about, it's basically the structure and the bones of the business. Like what are our core values? It helps us with the focus. It helps us with, okay, who we really are and who we want to attract. And then it also takes it a step further to say, this is how you run meetings and like how you get on the same page. Like Christina and I have a same page meeting every week, in addition to like our leadership level 10, where the leaders of the business get together. Those are our two most important meetings in my head during the whole entire week. Like I have to make sure Christina and I are on the same page. And then from there, we have to make sure that, okay, as a leadership team, are we really tackling the real issues? I'm telling you, I like if I could grab you through this microphone, not you, Christina, but like the listener, our lives have changed to where what she just said is so true. When we reach out to each other during the week, it is usually not for fires. Like I reached out to her yesterday for an opportunity. Like there's this person who wants, like a potential client, and like we're going through fun stuff like that versus like, okay, this issue came up. How do we want to resolve that? You know why? Because we have systems and people and processes in place to take care of a lot of that. So her and I are more about how do we either keep the business on the right track or how do we grow the business? Like, because we still deal with issues, but they're not like she said, the fires that happen every day. It's not those got a minute meetings all the time between each other. So I'm lit up right now because how many of you sitting there right now would love to buy back your time? Well, Christina's giving you like the pathway here. Like that's why I wanted her to tell about her story at the beginning of like how she got to this point, because then that shows like you need someone who's got grit and determination, and you need someone that has that understanding, knows entrepreneurs, knows that own journey, but then how she went over her clients and like that whole mindset of like how they were 4 years ago to where they are today. And like it's really about accountability to what they really want. And how do you get there? You get there by examining the root issues. So I love that you went over that. Then from there, I want to talk about the partnership, because it's like, this is who that if you want someone on your team, you want people like Christina and like her that have the best interest of everyone in their mind, and being able to say, okay, what are our core values? Do I align with those? Like we had a lot of those things from EOS before we even went into the partnership too. So it's like some of those we're laying the groundwork for a partnership before we even had the thought of a partnership. So it's like some of this stuff is laying the groundwork. So that way, when opportunities present themselves, whether it's internally like it was for this, or if it's an external big opportunity, you have meetings and structure in place to say, are we ready to take this on? Do we want to be partners? Well, let's go through our issues list and like, let's go through our issues. Let's run a meeting, just you and me, to say like, what are the issues of a partnership like we did? And that's where if you're sitting there and you're like always burnt out, if you're always struggling with your money, if you're always struggling with just why am I doing this thing or I'm not making enough, that's what we want to help with. So it's like you get people like Christina on your team from Simple CFO. I know this is a lot of self-serving talk here, but a lot of people just don't have access to this person or don't know it's out there. That there's someone out there that can help you provide logical leadership to your emotional leadership, to be that yin to your yang. So I'm just going to throw it up there one more time, this QR code. So if you can see this on YouTube or wherever you're watching it, that's the QR code you can scan, or you could go to
You're
simplecfo.com.
just sharing because you think it's cool.
Right? Yes, it's a new thing. It's a new on StreamYard. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So I'm gonna just keep popping it like dink, dink, dink. There we go. I love how I can just make it go and come away. But That's where if you're struggling out there, we want to help you. And you get people like Christine, because guess what? Because of EOS and our whole system, like we have a bunch of Christinas on the team. Not that it's Christine and that we've cloned her, but like the people have the same core values. We serve the same purpose and the same passion. We have people on the team that care, like Christina, like David. So this is where we want to help you. I referred to myself in the third person there. This is where I want you as a listener. If you're struggling, we can help you. Christina, any closing thoughts here? I'm basically wrapping it up. I know this is your podcast, so I want to make sure I give you the last words here.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing, because you always want to find somebody that can help you. So like leadership, even though we're partners and we help each other, we also can't do everything. So you want to elevate those people that can take things off, because, and I'll use a perfect example to close it out. We had a client that had a business degree, had a financial degree, and was an actual accountant, but she wanted to work with someone that wasn't just her, to bounce ideas off of somebody else, to have reports that somebody else could give her insight in. Like, you may have everything and say, oh, I can do that. We have clients that say, oh, I do my bookkeeping, I do this. You probably shouldn't. You should run your business. If you started a business and you have a visionary to build a business and take those steps, you shouldn't be doing financials. You shouldn't be doing all the marketing. You shouldn't be doing all the operations. If you're going to form a business, not a hobby, then you're going to want those people in your life that, what's that book? It's not who, or it's not what, it's who.
It's who, not how.
Yeah, who, not how. So see,
yeah,
it's something
like that. Yeah,
I'll write the other one and it'll come out.
There you
soon.
go.
But,
I like it.
But it's so important that you find those people in your life that can actually elevate you, and you're not the bottleneck, and can actually make you more powerful at what you're created to do. We're all created to do something, right? And I don't want to get all godly, but like, you're not called because of the skills that you have. You're given the skills, you're called, and then you're provided the skills. Yeah. So that doesn't mean that you have to go put an ad out there and look for somebody that's going to do X, Y, Z, exactly what you want. It means that you find that person that fits right in your life, and you call them to where you need them to be, and they will then get equipped either through you or other forces, God giving them those forces, but they'll become that person for you that will create that dynamic to grow the business or to serve other people, whatever your goals are in your life. But just know that you shouldn't be doing it alone. That's not how we're meant to be. So that's, I love it. Find those people that are for you.
Yeah, exactly. And have them in your corner, and don't be afraid to start to trust people. A lot of us have trust issues for many, many, many good reasons and different reasons. That's why finding the right people, but knowing who you are, knowing where you want to go, having some of these systems in place, getting profit first for your finances so you stop the hair on fire all the time about your finances, getting some good processes there, getting good processes for your actual business as well too, so you're not just, the issues are just consuming you all the time and you're burning out. This is what we want to help you with, whether it's just these conversations that we're having on this podcast, or if you actually come to us and you want us to guide you and direct you and help you. That's what we're here for. And because, like Christina said, I love this little QR code thing. I'm doing it one more time. So there it is. Stop feeling broke. If you want to reach out at simplecfo.com. We appreciate you listening. And Christina, thank you again for just opening up your story, your thoughts, and also just how you provide that value and what a CFO actually does, and how you can have good success with a great CFO. So thank you for doing that today on the podcast.
Thank you for crashing my podcast.
You're welcome. I love this. So we'll have to do this again sometime. Thank you for listening. And remember, reach out to Simple CFO at simplecfo.com. And here's that QR code one more time. There's about 1,000 times there. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Simple CFO Case Files on the Profit First for Real Estate Investors podcast. If you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our guest interviews featuring other real estate investors and our Profit First chats with David Richter. If you're ready to bring clarity and structure to the finances in your business, visit profitrei.com to apply for a free financial discovery call with our team.